Oh man, Edgar Wright, I love you. I love you, man. Oh my god. This is why he is one of my favorite directors of all time. He's up there with Quentin Tarantino. Oh my god. I love this movie. Salutations, everyone. I'm Niru Bikoshi, and welcome to another Niru Reviews while he is out of town, I think we'll call it. And today I saw Last Night in Soho. And for those of you who don't know, I I am a huge Edgar Wright fan. I followed his career since Scott Pilgrim versus the World. And ever since I saw this man's direction style and seeing, like, when I fell in love with it instantly with Scott Pilgrim, I fell in love with it when he did the Cornetto trilogy, and then after that he did Baby Driver, and now we're here with Last Night in Soho, his first ever horror movie. Now, sure, Shaun of the Dead was a horror movie, but I say this movie is a full-on horror film, and I really do love this film really taking that serious route to horror. And if you're expecting any of Edgar Wright's, typical direction, his typical, like, themes and direction style, you're gonna get it. It doesn't happen so often in the movie. I say it's more tamed and subtle this time. His moments in the movie do shine, where you find out, yeah, now you know it's directed by Edgar Wright when you see, like, the all the different shots he always does or anything. But I think he plays it subtle. And I like, I mean, the chase scene at the end of the end of the movie, that was very Edgar Wright like. But I say, like, his directing became more subtle and really good with tricking the eye with a lot of subtle edits. And I say what was cool was the dance scene in the movie with Thomasin McKenzie and Anna Taylor-Joy dancing with Matt Smith. And what shocked me about that dance scene is that there was no CGI whatsoever. This was all editing tricks that got me shocked. And I was like, holy crap, this is actually pretty cool. And I was so surprised by how, like, when they were moving the camera and doing, like, these subtle, like, edit swipes where people are close to the camera, they immediately changed Thomasin McKenzie with Anna Taylor-Joy, then back to Thomasin McKenzie. And I thought that was so cool that they did this choreography to make it so subtle and make it so, like, a one-shot take. And I love that. That must have been very difficult to do. And it surprises me how little CGI was used for those kind of edits and those quick cuts, especially with the mirror tricks that they did, where it would be Thomasin McKenzie in the mirror, but it would be Anna Taylor-Joy actually there in the dream, the past realm that she was in. And the trick that impressed me a lot is that they brought the brothers, like the two twin brothers, the Weasley twins from Harry Potter, and they put them in this one scene as the coat checker, and they take the girl's coat, and then you see both of the brothers, like, playing the same character, but one of them is the reflection, and I freaking loved it, because I didn't notice it was them until I heard their voice, and I was like, oh, that's them. That's definitely them. I know it's them. And I was so shocked about that they went out their way to make these subtle, cool camera tricks or cool, like, practical effects in the movie that just impressed me. And it's beautiful. Edgar Wright really did take a subtle direction with this. You barely do see his, stuff that he did in Baby Driver, stuff that he did in Scott Pilgrim and his Cornetto trilogy. But you do see in some places when it does get really intense, but his mannerisms are still there with foreshadowing, with a lot of like subtle lines that you'll never get on your first watch, which I know they're there. It's just that I have to watch the movie a second time to see that, but I've only seen this for the first time. But you do see the subtle things that they might have hinted at that you never get the first time, but you know that it means something. Because I always look for that in Edgar Wright movies, because I'm like thinking, what line will be important that I will never understand on my first viewing that will be so interesting to notice on my second viewing? Because that's the joy of watching Edgar Wright's movies, is he always does foreshadowing. He always has these subtle line delivery that you wouldn't pay mind to at first, but then when you watch it again, you start to be like, oh my god, I just now got it. And I freaking love that about his movies. But he has done a great style with this horror film. He really did make this amazing, intense horror thriller. And I hate to say it, I already guessed the twist ending before, the movie ended. Because I kind of noticed it at first. And I won't say it yet, but I was like, I guessed right. And I freaking loved it. I will say for the performances, I loved Anna Taylor-Joy in this. I loved freaking Thomasin McKenzie in this. I remember Thomasin McKenzie in Jojo Rabbit. She was the girl that Jojo was in love with, who was she was Jewish, but he was also German, so he was a Nazi. I did love that movie. She was great in that, and she's great in this. I liked her in this too. Anna Taylor-Joy, I like Anna Taylor-Joy. I liked her since the movie Split and Glass. She's a great actor. I haven't seen Queen's Gambit, but I am gonna look to that if I ever do get a chance to. But yeah, the actors do a great solid job. Matt Smith, Terrence Stamp, both of them are very menacing, very terrifying in their roles. And Terrence Stamp, I feel like this is the first time I've seen him act like he's properly acting. Like he's not doing this because, oh, he's just some old dude that can act menacing. He can act like a villain. Let's just cast him. And I mean, it's true because Terrence Stamp has played General Zod in the Superman 2, so of course you cast General Zod. But I feel like Edgar Wright treated him like an actor. Like, that's what I felt like. I felt like Edgar Wright treated him like an actor. Say, Terrence Stamp, I want you to do this, but I want you to play it subtly. Like, you do come off as menacing, but I want you to, like, at least be suspicious, but you know what's going on. Like, play the role of the character that people think you are, but you're not, I think, when they said that. And he's like, okay, I'll do that. And he was really great. Terrence Stamp really sold his performance in this movie. He came off as menacing. And even the words he said, even the things he talked about in it, and even just now recording this, all the lines he said, it's like he knew something, or the way he said things, you would think he came off the wrong way, but then when you realize something about it, you're like, oh crap, he wasn't a bad person, I think. Um, or was he? And you don't know that until you find out at the end of the movie. I'll get into spoilers right now. Terrence Stamp isn't the bad guy. He isn't this young Doctor Who Matt Smith. He wasn't that. He was a cop. And when he said he'd take care of the girls, he really meant he did take care of them. He wasn't a bad person. He was trying to help the girls get out of being prostitutes, basically, which was sad. And I will say why I already figure out the twist in the movie. So Diane Rigg's in this, and if you don't know who Diane Rigg is, she is a Bond girl. She was Teresa Bond in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, basically James Bond's wife. Or if you don't know her from that, I guess she was in Game of Thrones, I think, and I don't know that because I never watched Game of Thrones, but if you know Diane Rigg, this old lady, she was in Game of Thrones, I think, who sadly passed away last year. Same year as Sean Connery, sadly. Wow, a lot of Bond actors died last year. And she apparently was Anna Taylor-Joy. She was Alexandra, and gosh, she is amazing in this. Yes, she was horrifying and terrifying when you found out that she never died, and you find out she killed all the men that she had sex with, all the older men she had sex with, because she thought that she would become famous one day, that she'd become a singer, an actress, but she never did. She sadly became a prostitute, which is pretty sad, because this is a horrible reality in real life for young movie stars who are so bright-eyed and had dreams, and then they're used for prostitution in the world. And it's sadly true, because there are girls out there who are sadly naive enough to trust that an older man is an acting, like, casting agent, and sadly they are put in a situation that they don't want to be in, where it involves sexual kind of favors, basically. And it's really depressing, and I hate that. And this movie does show, like, that pain and suffering of young girls who wanted to do something with their lives, but sadly, they became prostitutes. And it's a sad reality, and you see this sad reality unfold a lot in this movie, seeing her suffer, seeing her in pain, and you start to realize, man, like, you understand why she killed these guys, why she murdered them, why she killed them. It's because she hated being used, abused, because she was just a young, pretty girl that these old men would disgustingly pry upon, and it makes you disgusted seeing these old men as ghosts in these creepy wife beater kind of shirts, basically, that just come off as creepy, that you start to feel disgusted seeing it. And it is very horrifying. And you start to think maybe Anna Taylor-Joy was the ghost at first, because it gives you kind of the clues to think that she did die. But in reality, it's not her, it's the guys. And you start to realize that, because keep in mind, it does play with you. And Edgar Wright does play with it as foreshadowing of why is Thomas and Mackenzie only seeing the ghost of the old dudes that are haunting her, and she's not being preyed upon by the ghost of Anna Taylor-Joy. Sure, she sees her bloodied up, but it's not like she was bloodied up because she was stabbed. She was bloodied up because she killed Matt Smith in the movie. And it does become terrifying, really. Seeing both Diane Rigg and Anna Taylor-Joy having this creepy, sadistic smile while singing. It is creepy. And I heard the soundtrack before watching the movie, and I'm like, oh, these are really good songs. I like hearing Anna Taylor-Joy's rendition of Downtown. I like hearing her sing You're My World. And they just sound very nice. Like, they just sound like these nice sounding songs, but then you see the movie and you see, like, oh, that's where Anna Taylor-Joy sings it. She sings it while she's trying to kill Thomas and Mackenzie. Jesus. And it's so freaking creepy seeing that. Her and then this trippy, like, staircase, this glass staircase of her just crawling, and almost Thomas and Mackenzie's like, yep, I'm gonna fucking kill you. It just, like, freaking shocks you. And my god, I love this movie for showing these trippy visuals. This movie's very trippy. It goes for the trippy visuals. It goes for the, like, bright neon lights. It goes for this great 1960s style of look and feel, especially with the music. Music is great, but then again, it's Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright's totally gonna give you an awesome soundtrack to a movie, or basically his killer track. I have, like, a lot of Edgar Wright soundtracks on my playlist, from Shaun of the Dead, The World's End, Scott Pilgrim, mainly Scott Pilgrim, because I freaking love the soundtrack in Scott Pilgrim, and freaking Baby Driver, that also has a cool track also, that I love. It is amazing that Edgar Wright put so much effort, and I think this is the second movie he's made. Well, third if you count Scott Pilgrim, because Scott Pilgrim is actually a song. This is the third movie I think he's made where the title of the movie comes from a song. Baby Driver came from a song by Simon and Garfunkel. Baby Driver. Last Night in Soho, it actually is a song. I don't know by who, but it is a song called Last Night in Soho that plays at the credits. And I'm like, what? It is amazing. I love this movie. It does feel nice seeing this, like, cool retro feel of a horror movie, and also the creepy, like, ghost aesthetic of things. Even the horror is pretty nice as well. The movie does start out positive, kind of, where Thomas Mackenzie's bright-eyed, loving London and wanting to become a fashion designer, but she's, like, surrounded by these bitchy white girls that are so, like, uncultured, while she's, like, the girl that's, like, listening to 60s music, picturing, you know, Audrey Hepburn from frickin' Breakfast at Tiffany's, and then trying to copy the look of her in that poster, surrounded by nice 60s art style, and thinking about the nostalgia while listening to the Kinks or something. And it's so, and I loved it. But it does kind of speak to me, because I do listen to old music as well, and then hearing some young kid that's probably my age saying, oh, you listening to this granny shit, I'm like, dude, I hate you. I don't know why. I kind of, like, because I do listen to old music as well. I mean, I do listen to music in my generation, but I do like some of the old stuff as well. I mean, you'll be hearing me blasting music from the Beatles or or someone else, like the Kinks or anything. Like, there's a lot of bands I like from 80s, 70s, and 90s that I love. even 60s that I love to listen to. And then everyone's like, why can't you listen to music in this generation? I'm like, no, forget that. I'm a man who loves every genre of music. I don't care what decade it is, I'm gonna listen to it. If it's catchy to me, I will love it. What I put Last Night in Soho on my list of like favorite Edgar Wright movies. I mean, Scott Pilgrim's already my favorite movie of all time, and the Cornetto trilogy is awesome. Hot Fuzz is clearly the best one that I love to quote all the time. But then again, that's everyone's favorite movie. I will say Edgar Wright has done a lot of good movies. He went from comedy to drama and now horror. And I love that. I love that. I mean, everyone is used to Edgar Wright doing like comedy. Like everyone's used to him doing comedies. They're used to him seeing him make a funny movie. But no one would have suspect that when he made Baby Driver, people were thinking, oh, it's gonna be funny, but action as well. But didn't know that Baby Driver was gonna be an action drama as well, because the movie is very tense. It is very serious, also, and people were a bit thrown off on that. And I was like, not me. I love seeing this director do new things. I love this director doing a lot of new stuff. And when I heard he was going to make a horror movie, I was like, yes. I was so excited for that. Like, a horror movie by Edgar Wright? Dude, that's already a cool idea. And he never disappointed. And I'm really happy about that. Was it predictable? Sadly, yes, it was predictable. I was sad about that, but the reveal of the killer, the reveal of the actual person who killed people, was actually executed amazing. Seeing Diane Rigg describing how she killed people and what happened to her, and seeing Anna Taylor-Joy's crazed, murderous face, it's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. I loved it. It was well executed with that reveal. As much as how predictable it was, it didn't fail to disappoint to execute a beautiful reveal that goes batshit insane and trippy. And that's something I never thought I would say. It's predictable, but executed pretty well. Because a lot of movies that had the obvious bad guy, the obvious surprise bad guy, they always start out the same, where you think he's a good guy, but then it's revealed he's a bad person. And then he suddenly does this character shift that comes out of nowhere that makes it feel it makes it feel, oh, what's the word? It makes it feel unneeded, because this character showed no evil signs whatsoever, no hints that he was a bad guy. They just said, oh, he's evil, and that's it. While with Diane Rigg and Anna Taylor-Joy, the setup, the execution, and the delivery of the line, because they crept it in. Like, Edgar Wright slowly crept it in and built it up and showed that she killed people because she hated being this prostitute. She hated being used and abused because she was naive and thought that she would be happy, which was sad that she wasn't. And the way they handled it, the way he handled this movie, the way he executed that reveal, that twist, that's where the beauty comes in. As much as you're going to say, ugh, it's predictable, you're not going to be disappointed with the climax. I had a lot of fun. I did enjoy that. Were there a few annoying things I hated about the movie? Duh. The typical bully characters annoyed me. I mean, that's no shock, that's no surprise, but who knows? I say I give this movie an 8.7 out of 10. I enjoyed this. I really loved it. Edgar Wright never disappoints me. And that's no lie. He never does. All his movies are bangers to me, and I love those movies. Like, if I can do an Edgar Wright movie marathon, I would. In fact, I might do one out of spite. But so, what did you guys think of last night in Soho? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you not enjoy it whatsoever? Let me know, because I actually love this movie. And if you like this video, that's cool. If you want to subscribe, that's awesome as well. And if you want to follow me on Twitter or follow me on Twitch, you can at Psycho Wolf Boy. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you, Wolfpack, in Soho. Ciao, darlings. And remember, you are loved.
Ow, ow, ow! Ow! Ow!